Hey, y'all, and welcome back to the Healing Our Industry podcast. We are about to dive into a pretty maybe untalked about conversation, untalked about topic. We want to talk about boundaries. Now, when I say boundaries, we are talking about boundaries across the entire spectrum. So maybe when I say boundaries, you think, oh shit, no, thank you. But there's also ways for us to honor who we are, what we do, and how we go about life. And we want to talk about that today. So preface just kind of where we are at. Right now, I am in my own room, in my own home, and Kim is at her own home in her closet. So the sound may be a little bit different. And also, if you're on YouTube, you may notice I don't have a lot of hair. Well, this is my natural hair. It's a lot thinner than, fluffy and having extensions, but like we mentioned, we're just going to show up anyway. This is real and honest. We are rocking the librarian bun. Is that what we call it?
That is what we call it when there's no extensions in and you just bun your hair and maybe give yourself some fringe. And I'm rocking the post-ovulation breakout. So we are living our best lives. And I was like, I'm going to put some concealer on, but I was like, no, this is the whole point of why we do what we do, because we're showing up real and honest and not faking anything. So why would we cover up the realness? So if you're having one of those days where you just feel like, your extensions are out, you're breaking out, maybe you're bloated, I don't know. We go through all the things. So, and the more you get to know us, the more you'll realize we talk about everything. So I just had a friend text me because today, actually, the first episode launched. So we're recording episode 5 today on the day that the episode 1 launched. So I had a friend texting me and she was like, number 1, you burping. Number 2, Nessa getting waste off of 2 glasses of wine, LMAO. And I was like, yep, that about sums it up. It was
basically nothing's off the table. Literally, we're just so used to having real and honest conversations because that's what we would do at the table with our parents, is just have real honest conversations about the hard, about the easy, about the funny, about the ridiculous, and just talk about it.
That's how we were raised, is to just have real honest conversations. And from a very young age, we grew up, going to church Sunday morning and then hanging out at the table for hours and hours after lunch on Sunday afternoon, just hanging out. And I always craved those conversations and that deeper knowing of people. So we have been training for this our whole lives, really, just kind of going in depth with stuff. Also, our mom is a nurse, so bodily functions are not off the table. Like, we can be eating a meal and talk about any bodily function and it doesn't even faze us. So I just want to prepare you guys for that.
Basically, I mean, that's not normal, but it's our normal. So welcome. When she means at the table, we weren't always sitting with the children at the table. We were sitting with around the adults, having and engaging in adult conversations. And in those adult conversations, we would ask questions. Sometimes we would have to push through. I had definitely pushed through I don't know if this is a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Which I still sometimes have that feeling, but here we are.
I think that was a really good thing for us to learn at such a young age, because getting into the education field, you have to be a student first, before you can master something and then educate on the topic. So I think that skill set really has helped me grow in the industry, which is who I am as a person, and in the industry as a whole, is constantly asking questions, always being willing to raise my hand and say, I'll go first, or speak up when no one else is speaking up. And if you are a student, because I think we're all lifelong students, I want to encourage you and say that there is no such thing as a stupid question. Ashley always says there's no such thing as a stupid question, only stupid people, which I think is fucking hilarious. But I think it comes down to it's stupid to not ask the question. Like, don't be so scared by your insecurity or your fear surrounding it that you keep yourself from asking a question that I guarantee you other people have as well. They're just too scared to ask the question. So by you asking it, you're releasing everyone from that tension and you're normalizing asking questions, which frees up everyone else to ask the questions. So please ask us, whether you're in a class with us or we're on a coaching call or you listen to this podcast, any of our podcast episodes, and you're not sure about something or you need more clarity, shoot us a DM, shoot us an email, like whatever you need, we're here to help and support you. And I guarantee you, you're not the only one who has that question. So please ask. That is something I've learned as a projector. So we're talking human design, which we will get into this more on another episode, but I am a projector. And the key to being a projector is people asking you questions and inviting you in. So questions are really powerful for me to have people ask me questions, but also for me to ask questions instead of just like blurting advice on people. Because when I blurt advice on people, unless they've already given me permission, they're going to be repelled by it, even if they really needed it in the first place. So questions are powerful, even for like generators are made to respond. So us asking questions as projectors is powerful for people to respond to, but it also unlocks our truth and our genius when people ask us the questions. So I want to reframe questions for you guys since we're on the topic so that you understand the power behind those thought-provoking conversations.
Yeah, and when we ask conversations, we're using our voice and you're telling your body, you are allowed to use your voice. So we give you permission, even if you don't even need it, or if it just maybe helps, you're allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to use your voice. Okay. So guys, I'm doing it again. I'm going to whip out the dictionary so that we all can kind of understand what is a boundary? Okay. You know me as a generator, and I think also as an Enneagram 1, like we like to have the facts and we like to show you the facts. We can point back to it, and then we're just going to apply it to life. Okay. Here we go. According to the Merriam-Webster, is that how you say it?
Merriam-Webster.
Merriam-Webster.
Yes.
Boundaries is defined as something that indicates or fixes a limit or extent. A synonym would be bound, cap, ceiling, confines, and extent, limit, limitation, line, termination. So termination doesn't really sound like a boundary to me, but maybe it is also applied when maybe like a relationship needs to be ended or terminated.
I can think of termination pertaining to like client contracts. If someone is not honoring me and respecting my boundaries, we about to terminate our relationship and you about to not have me as your hairstylist. So absolutely termination applies there. But I also love what you said about like hitting your limit. And I think boundaries are kind of like the gutter things in bowling. It's like, nope, versus just hitting in the gutter and then epically failing. Boundaries.
Real quick, if you're listening on the podcast, Kim is using her hands as the boundaries of the goal of the bowling lane, and she's referring to the ball as the sound of her words going boing, 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 going along the line. Just wanted to give you visual representation if you're not watching us on YouTube. Please continue.
I told you guys we talk with our hands. So if you want the full experience, you probably just need to get on YouTube. But if you're like, I'm not someone who watches podcasts on YouTube. I'm a podcast listener. So thank you for reminding me to explain what I'm doing with my hands. But I thought it was self-explanatory by my sound effects personally.
Oh gosh. Please continue with your boing.
But what I was saying is you said like reaching the limit. And I think that in order to implement a boundary, usually to learn that lesson, a limit has to be crossed so that you understand, oh, I need a boundary there so that doesn't happen again. So we will absolutely get into that once we talk more about the business portion of boundaries. But I want Nessa to continue with her stuff because she has like a ton ready to go for us.
I wouldn't say it's a ton. I just had some thoughts that came to mind. So I want to give
Ma'am, do not devalue your hard work. Okay?
Thank you.
Own that shit.
I own that shit.
Don't take a shit when you're owning it. We don't need that. Just don't, Ben got on to me at the gym when Saturday when we were at the gym together. He gave me a compliment and I was like, oh, it's just this one thing. And he goes, no, you don't dismiss that. You've been working hard and you deserve the compliment. Nessa, you've been working hard and you deserve all of the space that you take up. So please hit us with your knowledge.
All right, let's do this. Thank you for calling me out. You're right. I think that, again, that's something we do as women, is just like we discount it like so many times when we're given compliments. So that was just a beautiful representation of, for you to own your shit and own your knowledge. As women, we get to be smart.
We've been taught to shrink. And we've been taught to close off from the world like a flower. Like, instead of blooming and being willing to be seen, we've been taught to close off and protect ourselves. And we try to check each other on this. And if you needed the reminder as well, dear listener, then it's here for you too. But we are no longer giving away pieces of ourselves or shrinking for other people. We're owning our power and taking up our space.
Yes. Okay. So I wanted to mention, I had some ideas that I wanted to start off of, like, some examples of a boundary, because I want to reframe the word boundary, not necessarily as like a rule or a law or something that someone made a precedence over you.
Like a limit. It's not limiting.
Exactly. Limitation has come back again and it is here. So not to limit you. For me, a couple things came to mind of what is a boundary for me. So in regards to food, I am the foodie, and I know food analogies very well. We are pretty close. So for me personally, I have a couple boundaries in regards to food related. So first, for caffeine, my limit, so I think I've mentioned in the past, I have an espresso as well, gracefully given to me by Kim. She's fucking amazing. We are so thankful for her. What was that?
I accept that.
You're welcome. Caffeine. So I will have two, what's that button where it's not just an espresso, it's like a large amount. What's that called?
That is a lungo. It is a double shot.
So it's a double shot.
Hold on. How many pods? No. How many pods do you use?
Two.
But you're doing a lungo in an espresso for an espresso pod.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to discuss proper espresso chemistry later.
Okay.
But you do 2 shots.
I want to get the amount right. So I do 2 shots twice?
No, because a lungo is just more water going through the shot. It's the same amount. That shot has a specific amount of caffeine.
Okay, so 2 pods is 2 shots.
Yes.
Okay, I have 2 shots every morning of espresso.
There is a specific pod type for a double shot, which has a higher caffeine concentration. I believe, I could be wrong on that, but I know for a fact Nessa is using a traditional espresso 𝗙𝗶𝗿 1.35 ounce pod and using, I want to say it's like 2.7 is a lungo ounces. So she's just running more liquid through it to make it more of like in balance with her milk, because she prefers a more equal ratio for a cappuccino, whereas I prefer on certain days more of a latte where it's like 1 shot with more milk. Nessa likes it to be half and half, so she just does a longer espresso shot.
Well, now that we're talking about it, I think it's called a latte. Shit, sorry. Where it's like more of the espresso to the froth. So it's like that's the ratio.
Okay.
Moving on.
Okay, but I have to correct you
Okay.
because a cappuccino is a perfect 3-part espresso, milk, and froth. So it's technically like that.
Okay.
Okay, we're getting
more about it later. Yeah.
Okay.
So the point is, I have my maximum is 2 shots of espresso every day with my amount of milk. Don't know the name for it, apparently. And then I will have, now I've been having tea. Okay, so that much tea has been drunken. Sorry, grammar's hard. Moving on. So that's my caffeine limit for the day. And and in between these espresso drinks and tea, I'm drinking water, making sure I get in my daily amount of about 96 ounces of water. Sometimes I drink over and sometimes I drink under. It just depends. And my cutoff time for caffeine is 2:00. If I drink past that time, I won't be able to fall asleep at night. And also when it comes to eating food, I will have dinner between 5 and 5:30 so that my body has a couple hours before I go to bed and start winding down for bed so that it has time to digest and my body takes in those nutrients. Yes, please pop in.
How drinking 96 ounces of water plus all your caffeine, how are you not up peeing all night? Genuine question. How do you not get up and pee constantly?
Well, I make sure I'm peeing throughout the day, not holding it until the very end of the day, because if we hold our pee longer and longer, the more the urethra.
I just read on this because I was researching UTIs. So the longer you hold, you're actually weakening your bladder and you're more susceptible to infection. So it's actually terrible for your body. Hairstylists, I'm talking to you, all of my service providers, whatever it is that you do, stop holding it. Your clients need you to pee so that you can actually not have an infection.
Yeah.
I know, contrary to popular belief, people think that holding it in makes your bladder stronger, but it's actually the exact opposite. So we have to think about our bodies long term and our longevity in the industry. Please take the freaking potty break.
Yes, that's so interesting that you popped in because I was trying to figure out the word. I don't know why urethra came through my brain, but I was trying to talk about bladder. So thank you for mentioning.
No, right. The urethra is where the pee comes out.
Right. So it's part of the system. It's part of
the urinary tract.
Yes.
So, you guys didn't know you were going to get a chemistry lesson and an anatomy lesson today. You're welcome.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so those are like some of my boundaries. I can't really think of any others. If they do come to mind, I will mention them, but it comes back to honoring my body systems and what has been built inside my body to serve me. And I want to be able to work with that instead of against it. So that's why I'm drinking water throughout the day and I cut myself off at 2:00 for caffeine so that I can climb into bed between 8 and 8:30 and fall asleep at 9:00 because I get up, like I mentioned in the previous podcast, I get up at 5. However, on the weekends, I may get up at 6, sometimes 7, but I like to keep my circadian rhythms the same for every day and not shift it by too far. Did you want to mention anything?
Yes, that is why whenever I have 12 or 15-hour days in the salon, Nessa turns into Veronica because she has a very, very specific system that she has her body on. So when it comes to having a late day in the salon, it really just takes an entire recovery day for her to get over it. So
yeah, it's true.
So guys, Nessa is a health and life coach. So along with like her being a foodie, this is like her thing. I am not at that level of food boundaries. So I want to encourage you, if you're like, oh my God, that would be amazing to eat. No, I'm going to eat at 5 to 5:30 every single day. just being aware is half the battle, guys. So I would challenge you to just be mindful and start paying attention to when you're eating. And pay attention to your caffeine intake and how it affects your body. I don't think you need to go so far in depth as to keeping a food journal or anything like that. Just the act of being aware of what's going on is going to help you be more conscious, and then make any adjustments where you need to that are feasible for you. Maybe just saying, I'm going to stop drinking coffee by a certain time so that after I get home and I'm exhausted, my brain isn't still super active and going crazy on me. Maybe that one simple implementation would be life-changing for you. So don't think that you have to do every single little thing that Nessa just listed, but just keep in mind that awareness is key.
Yes, I did want to mention really quick back to the dictionary, because we've been using this word mindfulness a lot, and I think that it's become popularized, but I really want to give you a frame of reference for what it means. It comes from the Buddhist community of mindfulness, and I think that it has entered the States and really been catapulted by the Calm app, where now you're able to just meditate at the touch of a finger from your phone. But mindfulness, Kim basically already said the definition. It's bearing in mind. It means to just be aware. Being aware of just life and how you're going about life really is mindfulness, of just, instead of ignoring, like if you're trying to get from point A to point Z and you don't really know how you got there, that's not mindfulness. Mindfulness was like, oh, like I saw that tree, I saw that restaurant, I saw that ATM, or da 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 da, or I saw that person walking down the street. That's mindfulness. You're just there, you can see it, you understand, and you see the things that are going on. And that's what our heart is for you, is that you would be able to be more aware of just who you are, and how you go about life. And that's what mindfulness basically is.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more so just being where you are. I can't tell you how many times I've driven to the salon in the morning and spaced out and didn't even realize how I got there. I don't know what was playing on my sound system. It's a numbing out versus a being fully present. I think there's two different modes. There's autopilot and then being present. And it's more so shifting us from like pulling away from autopilot and being like, how am I showing up? How does that feel in my body? And just asking ourselves those types of questions to be fully present and in the moment, because the key to mindfulness is being here now. You can't worry, you can't be like anxious about the past or worried about the future. Just be here and you'll move forward much, much better the more you just focus on what is.
Yeah, I love that. That was really great explanation of how, what I was just saying. So thank you for saying that. Like you did it in like a really great way where you were explaining what I was trying to mean. So you did a really good job. Thank you.
Thank you. You
But
did a really good job defining everything, and
you.
we are each other's translators at times. So it might, it might sound like we're just repeating each other, but the thing with education is everybody hears something a different way. So the more you rephrase something and say it, it's going to click different for different people, the more you say it a different way. And it also takes repetition. So, yeah, I'm not going to apologize for it. I think if people I think people will get what they need to out of that.
Yeah.
And you're really good at doing the same for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you. But I wanted to go ahead and hop into the things that you wanted to mention, that you had some ideas you wanted to discuss. So let's hop into it. I know you're about to hit us with some hard truths, but we're ready to hear it.
Oh, girl. I am the queen of boundaries because boundaries are not my strong suit. I would say, as an Enneagram 9 and a human design projector, 9s are known for having fluid boundaries. And it is very, very easy to quickly turn into the doormat for everyone else and to bend over backwards for people if you're not mindful of your energy. So I started out my career constantly bending over backwards for people. And through hard knocks and being mentored and just growing up in my career, I have found there are so many boundaries that I have to protect my energy. And the more I grow, the more people want my energy. So the more fiercely I have to protect my energy. So one of the biggest ways I do that as a behind the chair stylist and a salon owner is I do not answer phone calls. Even if clients or students call me, which nobody does anymore, but I don't talk on the phone. I will audio people back and forth, but as a business owner, like my number is listed for the salon, and some people will tell you that it's dumb to not answer your phone, but I'm going to tell you our ideal client is not calling the salon. Our ideal client is looking up the website or our Instagram and then getting what they need from those places. So my voicemail on my phone actually says, this is an unchecked voicemail. You can check out the website at urbancollectivetx.com and book with your service provider or contact them to ask them a question directly. So that is one way as a salon owner and stylist that I massively protect my energy. Another thing is putting my phone away evenings and weekends. So I have alarms that go off in my phone around 5 o'clock. We've talked about this in another episode, but it is a boundary I want to bring up again. I really, really, really make a conscious effort to put my phone away by 5:30. I have a little nook next to the refrigerator that's like a little shelf with a little plug. So it's kind of like my device station. I have like 10 things there, constantly rotating chargers. And I put my phone away. And then if I'm still in a conversation with somebody, then I may get back to them. Like I said, a lot of my friends have young kids. So once their kids go down to sleep, I'll touch base with them if we need to, and then we'll resume our conversation in the morning. But I used to post my reels at 7:45 at night because I was so anxious about the engagement and getting the right amount of views. Now I post them between 1 to 3 in the afternoon because that's what the algorithm is saying is the best time for me. That's something you can check on your Instagram insights and see like when are your followers mostly online. So I have found that that gives me enough time to engage with people in the afternoon and then put it away. And those who I didn't catch, like comments and things like that before putting my phone away, in the morning, I can get back to all of those people. And if they're going to get upset about me waiting a while to get back to them, then they're not my people. So I've had to release that expectation of myself because as I've grown, this is another social media boundary, guys. As I have grown, I get overwhelmed by DMs. I get overwhelmed by comments. So I can either fight a losing battle of constantly trying to stay on top of them, or I can honor my energy and do my best to point people in the right direction. So if I start getting the same question over and over and over again, like, where are you located? Kim, it's time to put it in your bio so that you can answer that question before it hits your inbox. So doing that really cut down a lot of DMs. I did just have the airport for San Angelo in my FAQs. Most people are not checking highlights, but I will still tell people like, hey, that's a great question. You can check out my FAQ highlight for more information. I am no longer typing out, unless it's a special circumstance, I don't type out custom responses to everyone. I now have drafts of my most frequently asked questions, my responses to those questions. And usually it's gotten to the point where I have so much information on my page and the right links in my bio to where when people are in my DMs, it's usually something I've already answered. And if they're just going to shoot me a DM and not do their research, is it really worth my energy to try and respond to them right away? No, I'll get back to you when I can get back to you. But you need, guys, you need to do the research for yourself and not just expect people to hand you things. That is a big, big, big one for me, but I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole, but it's something where a lot of it comes back to character and integrity and accountability and work ethic. And I don't give in to instant gratification. I honor my energy and do what's best for me. And the right people will come to me, and the people who are not for me, goodbye. See yourself out. So let's talk about boundaries in the salon. So this comes back to one of my favorite sayings that Brené Brown uses is clear is kind, unclear is unkind. And I think that that quote applies to boundaries so well when it comes to like coworkers or team members, but also clients, because clients don't know how to treat you if you're not clear about it. So instead of complaining about your clients always being late, make sure that they know you have a late and cancellation policy. Make sure they are agreeing to those policies. Guys, my policies are in my client application form. They have to check off on every single one of my salon policies before they submit their application form to become my client. So they're already aware of those. And then in my home care packet, they get a copy of the policies that they agreed to if I even accept them as a client in the first place. Then they get my home care packet, which is literally a 13-page, I call it an ebook, but it's a 13-page PDF that breaks down everything from frequently asked questions, my menu, home care, troubleshooting, expectations, policies, which are another word for boundaries. So it literally breaks down everything, but I'm setting that expectation in my client application, which you guys, it's public information. You're welcome to go look at my client application and see for yourself how intense it is, because if a client is a good fit for me, they will go through the process of reading everything I put in there and fully comprehending my expectations before they hit that submit button. So when I was, first beginning in extensions, it was a very, very simple application form. And the thing is, the more simple your application form is, the more applicants you will get. The thing is, they may or may not be the best fit for you because there's not enough information or like layers in your filter. Like if you think about a funnel, you think about like the different layers that people have to go through. Just like with social media or the process of people knowing, liking, and trusting you, it's the same process with your client application form. The more red tape they have to go through, the more you'll know if they're a good fit for you or not. So that is that one. Let's talk about enforcing client policies. So
can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
And you're welcome to take a sip of something.
Can you guys tell that she is my health coach?
I wanted to ask you, like, what was the reason why you created these boundaries?
Because I got fucked over and over and over again, and I got sick and tired of it. 100% honesty.
And real quick, when was the moment, or like when was the thing where it's like you said yes to your boundaries, and did that cost you anything?
That's a good question. I don't think that there's one particular moment I can put my finger on. I think over time it's like getting gut punched over and over and over again anytime someone disrespects you, because that's what it comes down to. But also there's two sides. Like you can't enforce something that you never communicated in the first place. So I had to humble myself and take ownership of my part and then say, okay, I'm going to eat the cost of that, but I'm now going to put a boundary in place to where this will never happen to me ever, ever, ever again. So is there a particular time frame when that happened? I would say coming back from the pandemic. Really 2020 changed everything for me. It made me take my business so much more seriously. I was much more lenient about people canceling and then rescheduling last minute or showing up late to appointments beforehand. But with how long extensions take, it's not like, oh, well now, I have 2 or 3 colors today. So if one person doesn't show up, I still have the other 2. I do 1 client a day. If someone doesn't show up, everything, like the entire day falls apart, and it is now almost impossible for me to get someone in that quickly. So the way that I combat that is over communication. And my clients appreciate it. They know that they are expected to pre-book their appointment, and they have to commit to the maintenance in order to remain my client. And if they constantly try to push maintenance out, then I'm going to put them on suspension, essentially. I know that sounds so shitty, but my clients are all fine hair. So if they take a 6-week appointment and try and push it out to 8 to 10 weeks, if they have massive damage, I will make them wait 2 months to get their hair put back in, because I am not going to be liable for them ripping their own hair out because they wouldn't uphold their end of their commitment. So they can either pay more for me to come in on my day off to accommodate them, or they can plan ahead.
Yeah, I think that's super helpful to just kind of give a frame of reference for maybe somebody out there who knows in their gut or wherever they understand their intuition. It could be mind, it could be heart, it could be gut, wherever that is for you, of like, I know I need to set a boundary with this person because they keep crossing my boundary. And maybe they are that person who like didn't communicate it, but now it's like time that they communicate it. And so I think it's helpful to know that like somebody else did it and that I can do it too, even though it may be hard. And there might be some fear of like, oh, I'm going to lose this client. But if you do lose that client, that also means that there's room for the ones that are for you. And that's exactly where Kim's at right now. It's like she had to set boundaries with previous clients who eventually didn't continue as a client. But because of that, she was able to have space for all the clients that she absolutely loves working with now and who are her ideal clients. So when we say no to something, that means an opening for a yes to something else. It doesn't mean a no forever.
Also, it is not worth the anxiety of the clients that are not for you. When someone is not for you, you'll know, because you typically have anxiety 1 to 2 weeks before their appointment because you really don't enjoy hanging out with them. And if you're getting that vibe from clients, you got to check yourself. What's more important, your energy or the money? And if you have a scarcity mentality that you won't be able to fill that client spot, then you are already down for the count. You know what I mean? You have to believe that, just like Vanessa just said, you have to make the space to bring in what is meant for you. Another thing that I do not do is last minute changes. It takes a lot to be prepared, and I over communicate expectations with my clients. They get an estimate beforehand, way before their appointment, and we're discussing at every appointment our game plan for future appointments. So don't walk into the salon and I just got you to the perfect blonde and tell me you want to be brunette now. I no longer do last minute changes like that. Or I just took you brunette and you want to be blonde now. No, I do low maintenance color only and fine hair. As a fine hair specialist, like, that's a boundary in and of itself. So if someone applies and they have average to thick hair, no. I rarely get applications like that anymore, but it is not what makes my heart happy. It's not the kind of person I want to hang out with. I want to solve problems for people, not enable people to be extra. You know, like, I'm not your person. I will gladly refer you to someone else if you just want to be extra, but I'm here for the people who have hair PTSD. If you've gone through what I've gone through and lost a lot of your hair, I'm here for you. People who have super, super fine hair that have undergone damage or massive hair loss have the patience of a saint, and they are willing to sit through the amount of time it takes for me to give them perfection. People who are just being extra tend to be, in my opinion, very impatient, and they want to be in and out as quick as possible to move on with their life. That's not across the board. That is just my experience. There are people who, that's not the case, and that's okay. But I have found what works best for me, and I am not going to compromise on that just for, to have a client. It's not worth it at all. Any questions on that before I continue?
No, I think that was really powerful and clear. And I think that really helped us all to better understand that in order to level up and grow, that means across the board of everyone, we have to set boundaries. We have to set boundaries.
Absolutely. There's no way to grow without them.
Right.
I had to, and we talked about this a little bit in a previous episode, I had to let go of all of my extracurricular stuff in order to continue growing. I volunteered with a bunch of different things, and it ate up a lot of my time and my energy. And while they were good things for good causes, I couldn't fully give myself to what I knew in my gut I needed in order to grow. There's no way this podcast would be possible if I was still doing all of that volunteer work. There's no way that my Instagram would be at the level that it is if I was still spending my free time volunteering. So I had to accept that I can have more of an impact if I focus all of my energy on my entrepreneurial journey and make more income. Then I'm able to impact more lives and therefore give more with the abundance that is given to me. That's the thing, guys. Money is an amplifier. It amplifies whatever is already there. Now we're getting into money mindset, guys. This episode is loaded. So
it is though, but hold on. I just wanted to mention that Kim's heart is not to say that volunteering is bad, but she learned for herself that she could no longer give out her energy in that way, and that in fact it was holding her back. And it may be different for you, but to level up, it was like for her, she had to let things go.
It was 12 to 24 hours a week. Sometimes every weekend of the month, sometimes every other weekend of the month. It was just too much.
Yeah, it was a lot. But you were about to hop into some money mindset stuff. Will you give us just like a highlight of that? And
Yes.
then we need to, the next episode, I feel like we keep rolling over, and it's totally fine. We're just going to let it be. In the next one, we could dive even deeper into some money mindset stuff. So hit it.
Maybe. I just really want to drop this in there really quick. So money is a magnifier. It will amplify what is already there. If you're a shitty person with no money, you're going to be an even shittier person with a lot of money. If you are a kind, giving person with the little that you do have, when you have more, you will be an even kinder, even more giving, more impactful person. So money is just a tool. It is not inherently good or evil. It is just an energetic currency. So the most important thing is cultivating ourselves so that we can amplify what we want to amplify with our finances. So that's just a little tidbit. I'm not going to get too into money mindset because I could go off. But I did want to summarize some of the base. Oh, another boundary. Okay, so I wanted to summarize like my salon, like with my client boundaries. I think that is going to be the most impactful for everyone. But I also wanted to say, as a salon, we are a child-free salon, which is a massive boundary for our salon that sets us apart in our community, because nobody does that. Nobody in our community has a child-free salon but us. But my reasoning behind that is not to be a dick. It's because if my client, or if another, if one of my stylist clients has been looking forward to her appointment for 6 weeks, paid for childcare, and actually peeled herself away from her home to give that time to herself, my client is not about to bring their kid in with the iPad and ruin that other client's day. Because as women, it is impossible, whether we have kids or not, it is impossible to relax when there is a child close by. You can't get a massage with a kid in the room. You're not fully relaxed, you're not fully present, and you can't actually ease into your energy and let go because you're vigilant. Whether you have kids or not, it's just part of who we are. So in order to allow all of our clients to have a relaxing, immersive self-care experience, I was like, you know what? I will be the dick and say kids are not allowed, because it is not worth losing out on that energetic refreshment and that time with your service provider.
And I also feel like a lot of the clients, all encompassing of Urban Collective and women across all the board, like we give so much of ourselves. And sometimes it is so hard to find little pockets of time for ourselves. A lot of moms end up just like closing their self off in the bathroom or the closet. It's like that should be the only place where you're able to just relax, and that every single woman is worthy and deserving of having time for themselves, even if that is getting their hair done, whatever that looks like for them. They are so worthy and deserving of that because they are such amazing human beings. And we need women to take care of themselves, because then they're better able, West Texas accent coming out, y'all. They're better able to serve their people. So wow, so what a beautiful reminder, Kim.
And I do want to reiterate, we are not a gendered salon. We are working towards becoming a more inclusive space in all aspects of that. So if you resonate with feminine energy, that is more so what we're referring to, not female anatomy. So if you are into that flow vibe, that's what we're talking about.
Yes, we all flow.
Double entendre. Oh God. So yeah, I basically volunteered myself and said, I'll be the bad guy, and you can just tell your husband that you can't bring your kids because Kim's a dick. So totally fine.
I don't know if anything else is coming to mind for me. Is anything else coming where you're like, we really need to share this?
Yes. So I want to go over cancellation, late no-show policies, client contracts. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. Cancellation, late, and no-show policies are in the same vein, but they can be very different. So if you're doing extensions, I would say minimum, you need a 3-day minimum cancellation policy. In all actuality, our salons is 3 days across the board. I really want to push mine to 7 days, because it is not possible to, especially with clients that travel in, it's not possible to fill an appointment slot last minute like that. So we will most likely be switching me over to a 7-day minimum. And guys, you can see these on my application form if you want to know my policies, like they are out there. But I also have clients fill out paperwork to become a new client. On one side, they agree to their responsibilities as the client for their hair. And on the other side of the paper, they are agreeing to my policies. So basically, everything that they agreed to on the form before they came into the salon and, before we even had our consultation call, they are again filling out that paper in person before I even touch them on their install day. So there is that. Also, deposits. That's another one. Do not book any new guests without a deposit. Your time and energy is not to be fucked with. And I'm going to reiterate that. You are much more likely, if you have a very, very low deposit or no deposit at all, it is so easy for you to get ghosted and for potential clients to not have any skin in the game. You have to be confident. I do 50%. Whatever I expect that appointment to be, it's a 50% deposit after their consultation. Once they have paid that invoice, then I will put their appointment on the books. So during the consultation call, I go over some date options and let them know, okay, your date will be locked in once your invoice is paid. Do not go and buy hair for that client until that invoice is paid, guys. It's not worth it. Yes, we could get into a debate on you should already be stocked on hair, but the reality is most of you guys are still building and you don't have a full hair closet, and that's okay. You don't need to stress out about that. Just do what you can with what you have. But I don't want you getting into a situation where you have hair prepped and ready to go for somebody that doesn't show up. Ask me how I know.
Oh, she knows. She's been there.
So, yeah, like I said, guys, I will always say I'll go first and I will let you learn from my mistakes. Please don't make that mistake. I've even had it happen with people who were good regular clients who their new install was their next appointment. And then they basically said, oh, I'm good. My husband took out my extensions. I'm not going to come back. But they tell me 3 days before their appointment and their hair is already prepped and ready to go. So over prepping hair for a client is one thing. Going on your day off to prep hair for a client and them not showing up is a completely different thing. So over prep when you are prepping to save yourself time so you're not coming in on your day off. But also, like, I would strongly consider, this is not something that I do as of right now. I will give you complete honesty. Current clients that are with me, I'm not requiring a deposit for their new install appointment. Should I? Probably. Do I? No. I know where they live. I'm just kidding. But crown pieces, I will, because that is a custom order. But hair extensions, I'm fully stocked. And if they decide to never become my client again, that hair will go where it needs to go. I'm no longer ordering per client. I'm stocked. I'm good. So it's not something that I have to do. And I trust my clients and we have great communication. So it's not something that I feel the need to do. But, I could change my mind a couple of years down the road and require a deposit for all new installs, whether they're a client or not. So that's just where I'm at right now, guys.
Yes, well, thank you for telling us all of that. It's just real and honest, but I do want to mention to the one out there who is beginning her extension journey that it does take an investment for this education and whatever that method may be. But if you think about having a hair stock and your brain just like freaks out, if you ever feel like you're freaking out, like, it's okay. Go at your own pace.
Mm-hmm.
Go at your own pace. Okay. You are allowed to do what's going to work best for you while you're in the process of growing.
Mm-hmm.
And honor that.
I think I have 1 or 2 posts on how to build up your hair stock and different ways of doing that. So find what feels good for you, whether that is buying an extra pack every time you order, or some people prefer to just buy a lot all at once. I would suggest if you're just getting started, don't buy a massive stock because you have no idea what you even like. I would suggest trying out different brands and seeing what works best for you. Also, with our current political situation, it may become very difficult to get hair. So the more brands you have access to, the better, because we know blondes always go first. So my best advice to you is apply to have access to as many brands as possible. Try things out, see what feels good for you. As a fine hair specialist, dense, heavy hair doesn't work for my clientele. So I'm constantly in search of skinny wefts with fluffy ends that give a really, really good natural air dry texture. Constantly in search of that. So if you have a hairline where you're like, ooh, Kim would be a good fit for me, please reach out to me. I will gladly try your hair out. And then you guys are constantly asking me about that. And I'm kind of like, guys, I'm sorry. I try all the things too. But that's my best advice is don't sink thousands of dollars into one brand and then find out in 2 months that you hate it. Been there, done that, right? In the process of expanding our salon during the pandemic shutdown, I used part of my my business loan to buy $5,000 worth of hair. And some of that hair is still sitting in my hair drawers because I am not a fan. So I am still working through using it here and there, but it's not ever something I will use for a full install. For my clients that need denser coverage, I will throw in a couple of pieces of that, but my primary focus is giving them a natural, fluffy, fine texture. So please don't work yourself into a bind. Also, I don't suggest buying any shorter lengths. Personally, I think the shortest length you should stock is 18 inches. And if you're worried about wasting hair, get Green Circle Salon and recycle the ends that you cut off, and you won't be worried about wasting hair. There's that.
Yeah. I think that this has been a really good conversation and we could dive so much more into this topic. I'm thinking that we're going to pull some more things from this topic to be able to talk about things later on, but just keep following us and listening with us, because as we have more of these conversations, we're just going to go more in depth into this as we all learn together and grow together, because it's going to be like, ooh, we need to talk about this, or ooh, we really need to talk about this, and dive deeper into these things. So keep following along, because we're going deeper. We're going deeper. There is a vast ocean to the beauty industry. And like the title says, healing our industry. We're going to keep talking about ways for us to heal our hearts so that we can heal us as a community and be a community, and no longer, and going more towards less hateful towards each other and more loving, a loving community. And I know it's going to take time. This is not a one night fix. This is not something that could maybe even be fixed in a year, but together we want to join so that we can love each other as we are.
I love that you're being all like rainbow, unicorn, and butterfly, but I'm also going to mention, if you are bitter and resentful towards your clients, or you post memes on your stories about like clients being shitty, you need to check yourself. It starts with you. Your bitterness and resentment towards your clients starts with a lack of honoring your own boundaries and honoring yourself. So like Nessa said, this is just the surface of this conversation. Whatever questions and comments you guys have about this, our DMs are open. You are welcome to bring those to us, and it will also help us create follow-up episodes on this topic. So please don't hold back. Like we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, give us whatever questions you have, and we're here to answer them. And thank you for being open-minded to this conversation and being willing to get a little bit uncomfortable and called out on some of your shit, because we've lived it. So you are not alone in this conversation. But this is an opportunity to self-reflect and heal ourselves so that we are not projecting that bitterness and resentment onto other people. And then that is how we start being like really shitty in people's comments when someone posts something that we don't like. I mean, just check the comments on my content and you can see what kind of comments I'm talking about. There's some really, really, really mean people out there, but they're acting like that because they're hurting. So just having that perspective has really, really helped me in dealing with people acting shitty. But I want to remind you guys, it starts with us. It starts with us healing ourselves and taking care of our own energy first. So this is obviously not the last conversation on protecting our energy and honoring our own boundaries, but I feel like it was a great start to the topic.
Yes, I think it was too. And I just want to remind us all that you've probably heard this before, and I don't know exactly who it's quoted from, but hurt people hurt people.
Hurting.
Hurt people hurt people.
Okay.
And healed people heal people. And we can do that together.
Yes. And healing is a continual process. You're never going to be fully healed. You're going to reach new levels of healing. Mm-hmm. It is a cyclical process. So this is part of growing and becoming the best versions of ourselves. And we're doing it together. So if you felt called out and you're still on your healing journey, you're in the right place.
We're doing this together.
Okay. See y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.